It is such a pleasure to be here. And I want to say another special thank you to the keynote speaker, who it looks like she's over there taking some pictures right now. Thank you so much for your words. And as I was listening to her speak, the one thing that kept resonating for me was her question. Why can't we get the things that we know we need to get done in 2015? And for me, as a person who runs an organization that recruits and trains Democratic women to run for political office, I deeply believe that the reason why we are still today fighting for things like reproductive justice, for equal access to education, for marriage equality, for the things that we hold near and dear to us, the reason why we can't do that is because we have the wrong people sitting at the decision-making tables. And that is what Emerge California is all about. It's about changing the people who are sitting at those tables making the big decisions. I believe in my core that as soon as we get more women, more pro-choice Democratic women seated at the tables, this entire state, our entire country, and this entire world will change. And I'd like to give another special shout out to Dan Bernal, who I know is going to be honored in just a little bit. But thinking about the woman who he works for, Leader Pelosi. And I want you all to just think about this for a minute. What might California, what might the United States, what might this world look like if we had more Nancy Pelosi seated at the tables? I am hopeful that the work we do through Emerge California is recruiting the next generation of Nancy Pelosi's. And so I am honored to be having this conversation with these young women who represent the next generation of leaders here in our state. So I want to welcome Amy, and we have Grace, and we have Ivy here with us today. And I'd like to open it up by starting by having you, Amy, if you would, share with everyone a little bit about your background, the things that you are involved with right now in your community or in your school, and share with us two things that you think would be instrumental in helping us to move this agenda forward.
Well, good morning, almost afternoon. My name is Amy Huerta. I am from the Central Valley. I am a member of El Quinto Sol de America. And the reason I'm part of this is because I like to work with kids. And with this program, I'm able to have that opportunity to extend the hand out to the children and work in in rural communities such as Plainview, Tonyville, Tullyville, and give back to these communities where they don't have any resources, and go back to these children and give them, this opportunity to grow their imagination, their creativity, because they have a lot of potential. They do have it. We just have to encourage them. So for me to be here, it's great. And I think if we work together, we all listen to each other, our opinions, and we'll probably get there. We'll get there eventually. It takes baby steps, and eventually we'll get there. So being part of this organization, I've grown in myself as a person. I am also an instructor, folkloric instructor and dancing instructor. We have a summer arts program where we go to these communities and we offer children these classes of folkloric, and we bond each other. We bond with the family, which I think it's really great. And then we look for opportunities for children, such as going to field trips to universities, so we can give them, there's a bright future for them, and giving them also the chance to grow as an individual. And I think that the way we can do this is by having people come to these communities and see how these families live, see what they're going through, so that they can have another perspective from where we're living from. Because not many people come to the Valley. They think we're invisible. Like Tonyville, Plainview, those are small communities. They're just you just drive by and you don't see them. But we need them to come here to see what actual Central Valley has. And I think that's one way we can do this and change.
Grace, why don't you share with everyone a little bit about who you are, what you're doing in school, some of the things you're interested in, and a couple things that you think this audience can do to support young girls like you who are interested in helping to make change.
Okay, well, my name is Grace, and I'm looking to run for student body, and I've started a hiking club at Galileo High School. And I think that our generation can use social media to start talking about empowering women, because social media is open to so many people in our generation that use it every day, and it will inform them. I think that also we need to change our language. I think that we shouldn't be saying, "Ooh, you just got beat by a girl," when a girl beats a guy, because that's not right.
Hi, my name is Ivy. I'm co-head of the French Club, and I would love to go into the Feminist Club at Lincoln. And as Grace said, I think one of the really important things that you need to do to get the younger generation into the issues of feminism is to really get on social media and make it younger, make the younger generation understand that it's an actual issue and that it's not been resolved yet, and that we do need to still work on that.
So can you ladies share with us, if you think about all of the female elected officials, they can be at the local level, like on city councils or school boards, mayors. They can be at the state level, like in our assembly or legislature, or in statewide elected office, or they can be at the federal level in Congress or the U.S. Senate. Can you think about one woman? It doesn't have to necessarily be from the United States, but one female elected official who you admire, and why? I'll start with you, Amy.
Ooh, no pressure. Wow.
I'll give you some examples, right? So at the top, we have Senator Barbara Boxer, we have Senator Dianne Feinstein. At the state level, we have our fabulous Attorney General Kamala Harris. We have Betty Yee. We have in our legislature, we have women like Dr. Shirley Weber, who's out of San Diego. We have Fiona Ma, who's also on the Board of Equalization. City Council here in San Francisco, London Breed. We have Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. We have Emily Morase, who's on the school board. Who are some, Barbara Lee from Oakland, thank you. Who are some women that you see on the TV who are in elected office, who stand out to you as role models and as elected officials who seem to be engaged with the younger generation and your generation? Anyone that really stands out for you?
Well, I think in my opinion, pretty much all of them. All of them to me. They're all equally, they're all on the same level because they're getting involved with all of us. And they're trying their best to, work together, bring the youth and make it the center. So that when we're next, then we can teach the next generation. And then probably we'll have another 3 girls sitting up here sharing. So I think all of them overall, I inspire all of them.
Thank you. Like that. Yeah. Grace.
I agree, and I think that all of those women are amazing role models for our generation.
I would also I agree with you guys. Everyone who's working to make a difference, they all matter.
Will you share with us one issue area or one thing that you're really passionate about It could be reproductive justice. It could be suicide prevention. It could be water conservation, equal access to education. What's one issue or one area that you are really passionate about and passionate about making a difference in? Ivy, I'll start with you.
I think for me, it would be water conservation or something with the environment, because that's something we all need to worry about. No matter who you are, you need to worry about that, because we all live on this earth and we have to take care of it.
Love that.
I think that lower income people, I think that they need to be provided with more education at a younger age, because preschool is expensive, and the younger you start learning, the more knowledgeable you can be.
For me as well would be the environment, especially because I'm in the Central Valley, where right now with dealing with the drought. So mine would be really the environment, because we need to find ways to, grow together.
Thank you. I think we have a few questions that we're going to take from the audience. Is that?
What other ways, you mentioned social media, and ways that we can sort of bridge the gap with younger people. What are some incidents or examples that you can give? I know that some, like with the hashtags on some of the movements that happened, like with Black Lives Matter, it was nothing was covered in the mainstream media except by young people using social media. Could you give us some examples how we can sort of bridge that gap? Because I would say that very few of us, how many people are on Twitter? Okay, and mostly and I just got on, so I'm learning.
Well, that's a really great question. And it's funny, when you asked who was on Twitter, no one up here, none of the younger girls raised their hand. I think their thing is Snapchat and Instagram, right? So there's a whole nother language that we have to learn. Yeah. So there was another question over here.
In terms of being someone on social media who sees a lot of the hashtags but doesn't really participate in a lot of it, I think an important thing is sort of going beyond just having a hashtag in like videos, for example, because you see a lot of like everyone gets on these sort of campaigns and everyone's jumping to, hashtag stuff and post about it, but nobody knows actually what it is, and nobody translates it to their conversations with their friends or anything. Everyone's like, yeah, let's talk about it, but nobody actually knows what it is. And so I think just better, more communication about like, this isn't just a hashtag, and you can hashtag all you want, but if you're not talking about it with your friends, so I think it's, making it just more sort of approachable and showing teens sort of how it can be everyday conversation. I know, for example, a lot of people, even like people my sort of thing, it's kind of intimidating to be, a lot of people don't necessarily want to be a leader or don't know how to sort of, get in your face with this sort of important issue. So I think it's sort of like, you don't have to go, you don't have to, just emphasizing about people, it's not about just, being up front on your social media about it, but making it really approachable for everyday conversation. Like, hey guys, if you're not ready to, to be a leader about it, it's little things where if you hear your friend saying a comment, it's little, like teaching girls different things. You can just be like, hey, that's not okay, and that's not okay because I don't like the way that it makes me feel or makes me feel uncomfortable. But I think that's the biggest issue is girls are sort of like, well, I'm going to hashtag it, don't know what it is, I don't know, or else like I'm not ready to be a leader, so I'm just not going to get on board. So I think just bringing it into finding ways to make it more casual and conversational as opposed to this, just a hashtag.
Just really, really quickly, I'm just going to say, like, sometimes I find that we're really afraid to be wrong. and use the wrong language. And if you don't know everything about an issue, you're afraid to stand up and say something. So making it approachable in the way, the jargon that's being used, and the explanations of movements and issues that are going around, just making it really clear and concise, and being like, if you know, providing ways that people can ask questions and not feel like they're going to be judged for those questions. You know, no question is a stupid question kind of thing. So just making it really, making it clear. And so that, you know, the information, we can take it and we can share it with our friends and not be afraid to be, you know, wrong about that.
I just want to quickly say something. We're talking about bridging the gap. I'm kind of in the middle. You know, we have gap between youngster, and I see my mom, difference between my mom's, you know, generation and my generation. And last few months back, we were at UN Women's Conference in Long Beach. One of amazing women that I met and sat down with her 2 hours to figure out how to download, how to, you know, send all this, her 6,000 pictures from her phone to the iCloud so she can keep taking pictures while she was visiting California. What I see is that our younger generation should continue to give their time and effort and, you know, be compassionate with, I don't want to say older, but, you know, experienced generations. So, seasoned generation. So we are more closer, right? We're more closer, we're more together. And instead of saying, oh, you don't know, don't worry about it, I'll do it for you. It's better, let's do it together, I'll show it to you so you can do it tomorrow. So you know, it's for the younger generation. I belong to old, 1.5? Oh, I'm 1.5 generation or so. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jane Bernard Powers, and I'm a former social studies teacher. When I listen to people talk about leadership, I think, what are you all learning about leaders in your social studies classes? And my other question is, I'm, you know, sitting here and listening to these interesting ideas about where leadership shows up. I'm wondering about in your schools, where do you see girls and women leading in your context where you are, where you live, going to school every day?
Amy, what grade are you in?
I'm actually current into college. Mm-hmm.
What year?
This is my first year.
Freshman year in college?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is my freshman year. But I know that in high school we have a group called My Voice and My Strength. And these two clubs are, one is, My Voice is a group of women, of younger women who fight against women who are being abused, especially children. And My Strength deals with the men who are also being abused. So those are two of our top clubs that many people want to be part of. And another one we have is also leadership. It's a class of leadership where we teach kids, we give them a sort of project and we pick them to lead it. The teacher doesn't lead it, the advisor doesn't lead it, it's the students who lead it. And in the end, they have to organize each other to actually make the project all together, like an event, etc. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Grace.
At my school, we have a feminism club, and I know that throughout a lot of schools in the SFUSD, there are feminism clubs.
We also have a feminism club at my school. That's the main thing that would be for leaders.
A question over here.
I'd just like to ask you, Kimberly, how do you recruit young women to run for political office? How do you ask them, and how do you really encourage women to run for office?
Yeah. It's a great question, and that's not a plant, by the way. But it's a perfect segue into sharing with you all that the applications for the 2016 program are now online for Emerge California. Interesting research shows that women have to be asked about 7 times before they will consider running for office. So unlike men, women do not self-nominate. They have to be asked. Emerge is in the business of asking, and we ask over and over and over again. Many women who apply to our program have been thinking about it for years, but it is taking them that long to actually apply. We also utilize our alumni. We have over 300 alumni throughout the state of California, and we use them to go back in their communities to recruit, to bring up and pull up the next woman who's going to take their place to run for office. So that's what we do. We also work with an organization called Ignite. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it is an organization that inspires political will and ambition in young teenage and high school and college age girls. So we work really closely with Ann Moses, who is actually an Emerge California alum, to identify those high school girls and those college girls, like the ones who are on the panel, to ignite political ambition in them so they'll get involved in high school, in college, and then once they graduate, they move on to Emerge. So I think we've been told that our time is up. I want to thank all of our panelists, Amy and Grace and Ivy, for being with us. And as the mother of a 16-year-old teenager, I can also tell you that one of the things that I have used with my daughter, and I think that we can use in this next generation, is to meet them where they're at. Meet them where they're at, and to really explain very clearly to them what all of this is about. At the end of the day, this is about equality and justice for everybody. Teenagers get that. They understand that. Social media language or not, they get that and they understand that. And so I want to thank all of you ladies. The next time we continue to have these conversations, I want to make sure that we encourage more younger people to ask them. They have to be asked, and invite them in to be a part of this. Thank you all so much.